Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and today's video is going to be a fun one. In today's video, I'm maxing out my perfect IV SCIZOR all the way to level 50, and I'm taking it for a spin in the Open Master League. Now it goes without saying, SCIZOR is not a Pokemon that should ever be used in the Master League. At level 50, it's not even getting to 3400 CP and maxes at 3393, but I'm not going to let that stop me. I'm going to see, is it possible to get wins in the Open Master League with a SCIZOR? And I'm pairing it up with a very powerful core of Palkia and Landorus. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches. And we've got a slightly positive lead in the first match, leading the Palkia Origin versus Zygarde. Zygarde, the bulkiest Pokemon in the Master League. Zygarde not even going to build up to a potential Earthquake. They're just going to fire off the Crunch, fishing for the debuff. The debuff does not happen. I'm building up past the Spatial Rend, and I'm going for the bait. Spatial Rend would do massive damage. Opponent calls the bait. That's extremely unfortunate. I'm going to bank energy on the Palkia and send in Landorus. Landorus will be met with the Crunch, but this does not do a whole lot of damage, and again does not get a debuff. In comes Hisuian Avalugg, and that's definitely a Pokemon that I can inflict some damage on with SCIZOR. Stone Edge, massive damage, it's charge attack priority, and I'm just going to let the Icy Wind go, and go for farm on SCIZOR. If they have Zygarde, and they have an Avalugg, the third could be Solgaleo, which would be an instant game over, or it could as well be Landorus. In the back, it is going to be the Landorus, and I'm making it to the Iron Head, but I'm going to bait with the Night Slash. My opponent is just going to be spamming off the Sandsear Storm, so it's highly likely that they're going to be shielding the first move. I'm going to no-shield the first. That does so much damage. Aggressive switch into the Palkia to force the final shield and reset the debuff. Aqua Tail gets shielded, but this is going to be really tough. My opponent leaves just shy of a move. I'm going to fire off the Night Slash. If this boosts, I may have a chance to win. And there's the boost right on cue. SCIZOR. Oh my goodness. The game was looking lost. Now I just have to watch for the catch. So I farm up, wait a turn, see the fast move go through so they do not get the catch. And now I just have to survive the Dragon Tails. In comes the Zygarde. Zygarde does not get the farm down. The bulkiest, most toxic Master League Pokemon gets KO'd by a Master League SCIZOR, and I get a second boost as I pick up the KO. Decent lead in the next match, Palkia versus Genesect. Even though Genesect is a steel type that does resist Dragon Breath, Palkia should be able to do okay in this matchup. Because, I mean, this is just the difference of stat product right here. Palkia is going to be able to double up on Aqua Tails, and double Aqua Tail will be enough to KO. I considered going for a Spatial Rend, but I was a little worried that they would be able to hang on and make it to an X-Scissor, so I figured the safe route was to double Aqua Tail and win the lead. In comes Zekrom, aggressive pivot into the Landorus. I need to check and see if there's a Kyogre in the back, but they're staying in, so it looks like there is not. Sandsear Storm connects, massive damage, it's Mewtwo in the back, and this game suddenly looks very winnable for the Master League SCIZOR lurking in the back. Opponent even shields up a Sandsear Storm as well. They're going to be able to pick up a knockout with a debuff Psy Strike, but now, the moment I've been waiting for, hello Mewtwo, meet SCIZOR. In case they have Flamethrower as their second move, I'm shielding. I am not going to lose to a Flamethrower. Turns out they do have Shadow Ball. Okay. So that is pretty alright for me. The important thing was I just needed them to not have Flamethrower. They shield up the Night Slash. This is a -1 Shadow Ball. It's still going to do a lot of damage, but I can survive it. And now I can fire off this Night Slash, and then it's not going to KO. Look to switch into the Palkia to get some Dragon Breath damage. Opponent has the same thought. They send in the Zekrom, but I get it low enough that I'm going to be able to go for a Bullet Punch down with the SCIZOR, and I should be able to leave with a Night Slash loaded. Fusion Bolt gets shielded. They don't get to a second move. In comes the Mewtwo, and SCIZOR has the Night Slash loaded. Night Slash KOs the Mewtwo, and we take the win. Moving to the next match, leading Palkia into a regular Dialga. Not a good lead. I'm going to save switch into Landorus. Opponent sends out their own Palkia, and I really wish that I had a Fairy type on the lead. One Xerneas lead, and this opponent would be in an absolutely terrible spot. But unfortunately, I'm not leading Xerneas, so I'm the one who's in a very tough position. Aqua Tail does massive damage. I'm not going to be able to make the Stone Edge, so I am going to go for an Undercharge on the Sandsear Storm, as this should allow me to get a farm down, and my opponent will not be able to make it to a move. They are also double debuffed, so I'm not going to take a ton of damage on the Palkia, sending the Palkia. Unfortunately, my opponent does actually get the charge attack, so damage registration error. It is just going to be the Aqua Tail, though, which is double resisted. And when they send back in the Dialga, I'm going to stay in and go for a potential move, but they don't send in Dialga, they send in Xerneas. Oh my goodness. SCIZOR, if there was ever a core to break, it's this, but it's so glassy. That's a full health Dialga. I could really use a boost right now. I fire off the Night Slash. Oh my goodness, that does nothing. I mentioned at the start, there's a reason why I said this should not be used in the Master League. The stat product difference is enormous. 2 Night Slashes later, and they're finally below half HP. I commit the shield on the SCIZOR as my opponent fires off the Iron Head. I should be able to make it to 2 more Night Slashes. I farm up, and I actually get a catch onto the Palkia. Maybe this can be the break that I need. Catching the Iron Head. I'm going to be able to get the farm down, but unfortunately, my opponent, if they see their win con, which is just farming down, I have no way to beat them. I can fire off Aqua Tails, and I'm going to be able to grab a shield from my opponent, and I have an Iron Head loaded, but I lose charged attack priority, so unfortunately, this is just a lost game for me. I have energy stored on the SCIZOR, but it's not going to matter. The combat power difference looming large as they win charged attack priority, and I lose the game. Moving to the next match, we've got a mirror lead Palkia versus Palkia. I am running Best Buddy, and theirs is as well, so this will be a coin flip. I go for the Spatial Rend, I win the coin flip, so I win charge attack priority. I think baiting in the Palkia mirror is always a mistake. I like to full send and never shield. Opponent sends in Tapu Bulu, and I am so happy to see this here. The core that I'm running, the Palkia Landorus core, is very weak to Tapu Bulu, but the SCIZOR in the back will destroy this thing. They're looking for a full Bullet Seed farm down, but not before I make the Spatial Rend. I would love if they shielded, but they don't have to because they do survive it. So they leave with 100 energy, but that energy goes nowhere versus SCIZOR in the back. It's Ho-Oh, and I gotta get out of there as fast as I possibly can. And this is gonna come down to a bait. If this is shielded, I win the game no matter what, and it's shielded. I was behind on energy, I had to bait at least once, and getting that bait call right means I can now win this game. They go for the Brave Bird. At this point, my only lose con is baiting, so I'm just going to full send the Stone Edge. So I fire off the Stone Edge, opponent calls the bait, understanding that they need to call a bait to win, and that's game over. Picking up a pretty decent lead in the next match, leading Palkia into Zarude. I'm 3-1 in the set, looking for a 4-1 set here, which, I mean, I am running a pretty meta core with it, but the third is still a Master League SCIZOR. They're able to land their charge attack. I'm looking to overfarm and return fire with a hard-hitting Spatial Rend before they make charge attack number 2. Spatial Rend connects. Goodbye, Zarude. What do they have in the back? They're thinking about it. They're taking their time. They send in Hisuian Avalugg. Oh my goodness. I've never been happier to have switch advantage. Avalugg, absolute destroyer of Landorus, but the Avalugg will get destroyed by SCIZOR. They shield up the Aqua Tail. I make Aqua Tail number 2. They double shield. Oh my goodness. This is incredibly good. I send in the SCIZOR. I'm fully expecting them to Icy Wind, so I'm just going to no shield. They do go for the Icy Wind. What's in the back? It's Rhyperior. I'm debuffed, so I switch into the Landorus, and this is definitely just game over. I would love to be able to just win the game with the SCIZOR though, so I plan to just not shield the Landorus. They can fire off a Rock Wrecker, that's very okay. I'm 100% okay with taking this damage. Opponent just going for breaking swipes, fishing for debuffs, and I think I'm going to play this endgame a bit unusually, because I could just win the game with Landorus, but I really want to have my Master League SCIZOR deal the final blow here. So they're gonna fire off the breaking swipe. I just stop attacking. They send in the Avalugg, and I'm gonna undercharge this Sandsear Storm. I'm just waiting for my clock to be up. The clock is up. In comes SCIZOR, and I'm fully expecting them to Icy Wind again. Do we go for the 2-shield flex? We do, calling the Icy Wind bait. And now I get to fire off the Iron Head. Iron Head KOs. There's only 1 HP left on Rhyperior. We get the 2-shield flex and the 4-1 set. After the 4-1 set, I'm just going to show some various highlights from the other battles. The 4-1 set was the only positive set that I did have with it, but man, getting to go positive at all above legend rank with a Master League SCIZOR was definitely a memorable moment. In this battle, however, things are not going too well for me. I lead a Palkia into Dialga, safe switch Landorus, answered by the Mewtwo, but up a shield, Landorus can do quite well here. I'm going to be able to just debuff and debuff and debuff, and once I've applied a couple debuffs and I have an energy lead, I can very comfortably tank this Psystrike, so I'm just going to let it through. But guess what? They have Ice Beam. They baited the first time. That's double super effective damage. Mewtwo says, I don't care how much you debuff me. That's still going to knock out. The Psystrike is going to connect. Thankfully, debuffed. This allows me to maintain a decent amount of HP. Back in comes Dialga. I'm firing off the Spatial Rend. I need this to be no-shielded. It is no-shielded. The switch into Scizor in the back. It's Giratina. This is a matchup where I can hit for super effective damage, but I still think I need a boost to win it because Night Slash does no damage. Scizor, no! Not like this. Okay, if I get a shield on the next Night Slash and I get a boost, I can win this game. Come on, please, shield this Night Slash. I'm firing off the Night Slash. The Night Slash gets no shielded and no boost either. I go 0 for 2. And unfortunately, I think that's just game over for me, as now they can commit the shield. My clock's up. Well, it's up now, so I could have potentially gone for a catch there in case they went for the Ominous Wind, but they covered for that eventuality, going for the Shadow Ball, and I'm unable to make the Aqua Tail, as the Dialga is going to be able to make it to a lethal Iron Head, so was able to make it close, but not close enough to take the win. Picking up a positive lead in the next match, Palkia versus Landorus. Opponent save switches into Mewtwo, and in comes Scizor. Probably the last thing Mewtwo was expecting to see when it was brought onto the field of play. Night Slash will connect, dealing some solid damage, and I have a tough call to make. I decide to call a Psystrike bait. It's the Shadow Ball, and look how much neutral damage that did. Again, the stat product difference is insane in the Master League. Night Slash will be shielded. Looks like I can win the ones, but if my opponent double shields, then they can just Psycho Cut down after landing a Shadow Ball, which is absolutely absurd. I'm able to make a last second Night Slash. If they shield, I'm going to aggressively pivot into the Palkia because I know I'm losing Switch anyway, and I'd rather take the move on the Palkia. So I switched into the Palkia. I actually decided at the last second, you know what? I'm just going to shield it up. And I immediately regret that decision. I should have stuck with my initial instinct just to let the move go. But I shielded thinking, you know what? Healthy Palkia is good, but it's a Zacian in the back. Interestingly enough, it is a Snarl Zacian, so a bit faster of energy generation, but they have no fast move pressure. And that's quite nice, because as you're going to see, Play Rough doesn't knock out here. Play Rough, not going to KO. I'm able to get them extremely low, and I still have 1 HP on the Scizor, so I can send in the Scizor, force them to throw energy, and then hopefully sweep with Landorus in the end game. They go for the Wild Charge to send in the Landorus. Opponent switches, but since they switch, they're 1 turn behind. I expected them to just go straight Sandsear Storm since this is my final Pokemon, but they don't. They try and make it to the Stone Edge. That means they get to land a Stone Edge, and no debuffs have been applied. And this should just mean a completely one game for me. I'm farming up, going for the Stone Edge. Opponent tries to go for the Sandsear Storm, but they lose charge attack priority. My Landorus able to deliver the knockout blow, and they just have no HP anywhere. They send in the Mewtwo. They know it's over. They stop attacking. Down goes Mewtwo, and that's another win for the Scizor team. We've got same leads in the next match, Palkia versus another Landorus, and this Landorus is staying in. Great news for me, because I really do not want to see Landorus on my Scizor. We saw that earlier, and that was not a particularly fun outcome. My opponent continues to stay in. I fire off the Aqua Tail, not the best of timing, but the visuals were a little inconsistent there, which is definitely not ideal. My opponent will fire off another charge attack. Will they go for the Stone Edge? I call that it's just the Sandsear. It is the Sandsear. They go into the Palkia, but this is really bad news for my backline. I bank the Aqua Tail, and I'm going to be firing off the Sandsear Storm. Sandsear Storm connects to the Palkia. Palkia continuing to farm. Palkia firing off energy. I decide to commit the shield. I know that if I'm able to land a Stone Edge, I can knock out from here, but my opponent has an energy head start. So I'm just going to go for the Sandsear Storm. Sandsear will not knock out here, but it will get them pretty low. It ends up being charge attack priority, and I decide I'm just going to let this go. The Aqua Tail will connect. They get the farm down. It's all up to Master League Scizor to try and sweep. My opponent is debuffed, so this is definitely the move that I no shield, and then I can look to farm up with the Scizor. Scizor continuing to farm my opponent. I don't know if they lagged there or what happened, but they just didn't really tap their fast moves. I'm going to fire off the Night Slash. Night Slash will pick up the KO, and they're going to send back in the Landorus, farming up energy here. My opponent will fire off the Sandsear Storm, and I'm going to commit the shield. I'm going to look to overfarm quite a bit. Wait the turn, snipe with the Aqua Tail. Okay, I have a ton of energy on Scizor. Please be something that I can KO. It's a Mewtwo in the back. I have multiple moves, but I know Night Slash doesn't two-shot. I need a boost. Come on, Scizor. The Night Slash will connect. I try and make it to an Iron Head, but I lose charge attack priority with a boost. That was a win, but unfortunately no boost to be found, and Scizor gets knocked out. Hopping into the final match, leading Palkia into Dialga. Bad lead. I'm going to be safe switching into the Landorus. Let's see what my opponent has for me here. And they're just staying in. Okay. This works out very nicely for me. I will fire off the Sandsear Storm. The Sandsear will be shielded. My opponent will overfarm and throw on very nice charge attack timing. Ironhead will not KO here, so I am actually going to let this through. Then I'm just going to undertap the Sandsear, as I was expecting them to do 2 more Dragon Breaths and then switch. So by undertapping it, it can hopefully cause a little bit of confusion. My opponent goes down 2 shields to win switch advantage. I'm going to send in the Palkia. They're debuffed, so I can just go for a shield and a full farm down, and I should be in a pretty okay position. As Palkia up that much energy is very scary. Opponent realizes this. They send in the Reshiram, but this is just going to be a completely KO'd Reshiram right here. Spatial Rend, goodbye. We will see you later. Opponent, they send back in the Dialga, the switch into the SCIZOR. SCIZOR makes the Night Slash. They're low, but we already know Night Slash does no damage to Dialga. Will it KO? The answer is yes. In the back, it's a Shadow Ho-Oh. Oh no! I'm gonna fire off the last second Night Slash. SCIZOR getting absolutely flame cooked. That does no damage whatsoever, but Palkia with a shield to hide behind should be able to take this game. I should be 5 Dragon Breaths off my move, which means this is just game over. I'm just gonna click the move as soon as I get there. The Incinerate goes through, but it's not gonna matter because the Aqua Tail will do more than enough to KO. SCIZOR, unfortunately, didn't get to do a whole lot in that game. That was more of a demonstration of what the core of Palkia plus Landorus can do. All in all, I had an absolute blast getting to try out the Master League SCIZOR. You can definitely see in the battles the stat product difference and why this is not a Pokemon that is run in serious competitive play. However, SCIZOR does get a Mega Evolution, and I would love if they either bring Mega Master League back as a format, or just slowly introduce various Megas that can be used in regular Master League, because it could help deal with some of the power creep. Because Megas like SCIZOR, for example, you can obtain entirely free to play. You can play events when Scyther are spawning, trade for a hundo, power it up with XLs, and it's entirely a free-to-play option that can help fight back against some of these extremely powerful legendaries. So, in the future of Master League, as it continues to go on, I would like to see the introduction of Megas, even if they don't bring back the Mega Master League per se, but adding in maybe a Mega or 2 per season, because I do feel like that could bring some nice balance to the Master League as a whole. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.